大家好，大家好。现在2点哦，我们再等个1-2分钟好吗？谢谢。But please, we'll wait for another 2 minutes. Okay, but please, can you hear me?
Hello, Vincent. Hello, everyone.
Okay, good. Let's start. 大家好，我想我们可以开始喽。谢谢大家来参加。今天主要是我们来讲讲我们怎么到日本去，然后做 business， 然后未来希望能够 IPO。好，然后那我们今天大概准备大概一个小时的时间我们做介绍，然后呢我们就顺便大家可以 Q&A 哦。好，那so please next page。
Yep.
好，在我开始之前，我先介绍我自己我叫 Vincent， 然后我是云冠科技台湾。好，那当然我是20几年的经验了哈，然后待过的公司有这些公司，然后产业我是做蛮多的。好，然后另外一位待会就是线上这位叫 Baptiste， 他其实是法国人，只是他在日本常住，然后在日本做 business。OK。然后我稍微介绍一下他 ，OK， 然后当然他也是在 IT 领域有10几年以上的，做了很多专案然后因为他是法国人，所以他待过了其实是蛮多地方，然后在日本他就生根了现在在日本他有2个小孩，所以他对日本的经验很丰富。然后为什么我们会在一起？是因为Cloud One 云冠科技其实是跟修蛙的其实是我们是个母子公司啦，所以然后很多台湾的企业到日本去投资，然后投资到一个程度之后，需要做一些 operation 的更精进的时候，都会找上我们。所以然后刚好我们有分公司的同事在日本，所以我们其实帮了很多台湾企业的忙啦。所以那也是因为这样，所以我特别跟弟说，我们来开一个 webinar， 然后把这个经验分享出来。如果大家其他台湾企业有需要的话，那我们可以帮上忙。好，然后but please, currently you are in France, right?
Yes.
OK， 然后当我讲解的时候，当然都是以英文为主，然后我会简单的来翻译成中文。如果各位有任何的问题你可以在这个留言里面留言，然后我会帮各位做翻译，或者是你写英文也都可以，都没问题好吗？好，然后今天会有录影，然后大家现在就不能讲话嘛，所以有任何的想法问题，请在聊天室里面发问好了。好，please your turn.
Yes. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry. My name is Baptiste Basso. I'm managing director for Japan, as well as senior consultant for the Shearwater Group. I am 42 years old and I've been in Japan for 21 years now. So half of my life in Japan. I speak very good Japanese, but I am a foreigner, so I do a lot of foreign companies entry consulting into Japan. So we've helped companies from Taiwan, but also from Israel, from the US, from China, from Europe, of course, get started in Japan. So of course I do a lot of tech because cloud is a lot of technology, but also I've been doing projects in electronics and medical devices. Okay, is it for me? Today's agenda. So we are doing the presentations now. We will discuss why Japan is important. What do you need to operate your business in Japan? And those one are the legal requirements. And then we'll talk 5 minutes about the cultural requirements. So the Japanese business culture. And then how we can help you. And I will describe one good reference. It's a Taiwanese company that wants to IPO in Japan. So I will explain what they do and what we've done for them. So we will send the documents and you can use the chat for questions and we'll try to answer the questions and we can contact you back later on for specific questions and issues you might have. So it will be English and Chinese webinar, so bilingual. So if anything also you don't understand, you can reach out in the chat and we will translate either in Chinese or in English. OK，
很快帮各位稍微翻译一下。所以首先第一个就是Bloopers 因为在日本有20多年的经验嘛，然后 Bloopers can you go back to the previous page? Let me do a quick translation. Okay, to make sure everyone understand the agenda today. 好，所以 Bloopers 他其实帮了很多国外的企业到日本来 ，OK， 然后协助他们熟悉日本的市场。Bloopers next page. Regarding the agenda. OK， 所以Bloopers稍微解释一下为什么日本市场的重要性，当然很重要，然后我们要在日本经营的话，有哪些最主要的一些operation。就是经营需要特别注意，特别是日本的文化跟企业的需求。然后倒数第二个点就是Bloopers 是 Showart 是他的公司，然后在台湾我们叫云冠科技 Cloud One。然后我们协助企业的时候，不是只有说话，不是只有顾问而已，我们是拿着一个很棒的一个 tool 叫 NetSuite， 然后来 support 这些企业，然后。最后呢，我们会举个 case， 这 case 是台湾的企业到日本去，然后准备要 IPO， 那我们怎么协助他们 ？OK， 谢谢。Bloopers， your turn。
OK， your turn。
也是 my turn， 好，所以在Bloopers 开始讲之前，我4个重点，就是我们这段期间帮忙台湾的企业或者国外的企业到日本去的话，有4个重点。第一件事情就是，当然我们的公司或团队希望说在创业的第一天就面向全球市场，好，这样子企业的成长才会有无限大。OK， 这是一个当然这是一个重点，创业者就要有这么一个重点。第二件事情是，如果到国外去的话，你要先做to C的话会比较难。因为to C的范围太大了，需要的资金会蛮多的，所以我们的经验就是，如果先可能从to B 开始会比较好一点。做to B 的当中，我们熟悉一些产业的形态跟当地的法规、做事方法跟文化，然后再调成to C这样成功的几率会比较高。第3个就是当然我们现在今天的主题就是说，如果是台湾的企业，它是在服务业或软体业的话，当然这些行业 面对国际的市场，能够协助国际市场里的客户的做所谓的数位转型的话，这个市场其实是蛮大的。然后这一点其实也是根据这客户的经验嘛，就是前面呢，因为台湾软体服务业的人力很棒，所以软体技术啊、人工智慧啊，再加上帮助当地企业数位转型，所以特别是在这个疫情期间啊，所以这些企业它其实的 revenue 营收都大幅成长。然后我要特别讲就是，当然我们以前曾经常常都说我们要西进或者南向 ，OK，但各位你也知道南向其实南向不是一个国家，它是好几个国家所以但日本呢，其实它就是一个国家一样的市场，一样的文化，一样的基本上一样的需求，所以我们认为日本的市场其实是蛮好，特别是资本市场资金丰沛。然后当然各位也知道说 Appear 是台湾第一家公司到日本上市，那我相信不会只有这一家，我们还有陆陆续续到日本上市完之后，公司能见度会变高嘛，所以这是个很好的一个市场please next page。好，当然各位如果你是软体或是服务的产业的话，当然各位会很熟悉这几家公司其实也不止这几家，我是举个例子所以我很快讲过 Appear 就是基本上就是我们台湾的很棒的一个独角兽嘛，然后已经上市了。然后台湾还很多，比如说R5国际有 VPON，还有所谓的17 Live。17直播，它以前叫直播，它现在它的营业项目现在变得很大了其实我们最后一个分享的case 就是讲这个公司，好吗？好，就这样next page your turn。
Thank you, Vincent. A quick introduction about us and why we are qualified to talk to you today. So the Shearwater Group, including Cloud One Innovations in Taiwan, we are the largest Oracle NetSuite, so cloud ERP system seller, reseller, and consulting firm in Asia. We work with Oracle NetSuite as well as with Workday. We have offices in Japan, Tokyo, Osaka, in China, and we have 5 locations now: Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Wuhan, Dalian. So in Taiwan, Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, France, Indonesia. And we have partners in Australia and the US. So we have a little bit more than 100 consultants, and we have almost 200 customers now. So in terms of geographies, we are very strong in Asia, a little bit Australia, and we cover also Europe and the US. So we can help companies expand internationally. Okay, those are a few logos, and you can see some very large companies, and this one has been just discussed by Vincent now. And we have a number of other companies. This one is an Israeli IT company as well. So we have a lot of, and this one is very large as well. JVC Kenwood, Japanese company, as you know maybe. So we cover from manufacturing to technology to services, from small companies to very large companies, but we focus on growth companies. You want to translate, Vincent, or no? No need?
No need, it's quite straightforward.
Okay. Okay, so why do you need the strategy? What do you need to know in order to start your business in Japan? So Japan is a very interesting market for Asian companies for a few reasons. The first one is that it's a large and rich market. If you are in tech technology, especially, it's mature, which means that people are looking for new technologies. So it's large, rich, meaning that there is money available and it's potentially a lot of money, and for the last few years, it's also very much open to new technologies. So when you have the right technology or services, it becomes possible as a foreign company to make a big break into the market. Vincent, if you want to translate, you just tell me, right? So the next, yeah, okay. So it's also friendly to foreign investments. So a company from Taiwan can freely invest into Japan. So you can set up a company, but also purchase another company, purchase real estate, and so on. It's in terms of regulation, it's very limited. So it makes it very easy and fast to set up a new company. So also Japan, being a large and rich market, has also a lot of money available for IPOs. And the public market in Japan are also looking for companies to help them go public. So there's a lot of money available from local investors that are looking for new vehicles, new companies to invest in. So it's also very attractive as a market, but also as an IPO platform, so funding platform for you to continue grow. The COVID has also changed a lot the way small and large Japanese companies work. They used to be a very conservative with technology and with business processes. Now, work from home and having a very flexible workforce and business flow became the normal thing, which means that if you bring a technology that other companies can use, the companies will try to use it. A few examples: contracts. Most of the contracts before COVID were on paper. Now, most of the contracts are electronic contracts. So e-sign, DocuSign, and these kind of things. Which means that now the public, so B2C, as well as B2B, are very much open to new things, new way of doing things. And that's a big change. Two more points. There is a number of skilled managers available, meaning that you can find Japanese managers or foreigners that can help you manage the business locally or globally. So you have a lot of people like me, bilingual or sometimes trilingual, available in Japan that you can hire. Those are not cheap, but you can find them. So, and they are looking for opportunities to grow outside of Japan. And the last one, it's a limited investment risk, in the sense that Japan being very large and mature, the market will continue to grow, even if it doesn't grow very fast, but it will also not go down. So it's also a good market to invest in, because it will never go away. Okay, Vincent, you want to discuss?
Yes, please. 所以我很快帮各位做简单的翻译。所以首先第一件就是日本，当然它是个很大的市场 ，OK， 你光人口啊各方面，所以它也是个很有钱的一个市场。所以对一些technology 不是只有技术啊，就是比如说你的产品是在有 technology 的 flavor 的优势的话，很适合。再来就是如果你的技术、你的服务或你的产品很有技术的含量跟很优势的话，那么你到日本去，你会发现你的营收会大幅成长，因为它市场很成熟。那最重要的是说，它对外来投资很友善，特别是台湾的企业在日本很吃香。OK， 然后当然你到国外去投资的时候，当然需要一些资金嘛，所以日本也是个很有钱的一个地方跟国家，所以你要 IPO， 你要做 做 first round、second round、third round 的一个钱的话，基本上这是没有问题的哈。那当然，这个疫情的事情其实让不是只有日本，还有台湾其他地方其实都做了很多工作上、产品上、服务上的变化啊。比如说，你常常现在企业员工都喜欢在家工作了。那么针对这样的一个情形，我们如果提供一些服务跟产品的话，那基本上这市场也是很会有的哈。那当然，我们刚刚讲到，其实在台湾也是，我们现在的很多的合约以前都要盖大小章，我们其实不用了，最近我们都是用电子签章的方式就成立了合约了。所以这是个概念上，虽然是很简单的一些事，但是是概念上观念上的一个进步啊。特别是那我就先提到，那要做这些事情。如果你的 operation 你的作业流程不在云端的话，其实你是很难做到的。好，然后后面我们也会再提到最后这2点，就是到日本去绝对不要自己去，就算你会讲日文1级、2级、3级，通过简历也不要，我们最好是找当地的日本人，他可以讲日文或讲英文。好，如果各位英文可以，或者是讲日文或者讲中文，这可能这边的人会少一点啊。然后由他来帮忙做管理，然后授权 ，OK。当然，你讲到风险，这风险绝对比西进南向还要小，因为它是个成熟的有法规有法律的市场，所以 risk 是相对很小的。please， 有证。
Okay, so this means what do we need to operate in Japan? And there are 2 types of requirements to operate a business in Japan. The first one is you have legal and financial requirements. So what are the legal minimum standard you need to meet in order to operate in Japan? And then there are cultural business practices, and we'll go through those one by one. So the first one, in terms of legal and financial requirements, you need so your chart of accounts. So Japan is pretty easy to operate in because the legal requirements are easy. The chart of accounts, you don't need a specific chart of accounts. So each company can set up its own chart of accounts, and provided it's not completely crazy, it will be accepted. So there's no specific numbering, no specific account name you need to use. Second one is financial reports. So the financial reports also in Japan are very flexible, in the sense that you will submit your financial reports to the tax office. The tax office will look at them and accept them. We never had any case where the tax office has refused a financial report. So you can use the same format that you would be using outside of Japan, or you can use a specific one for Japan. It's both are legally okay. There's no hard requirement for financial report. The only thing that you need, just in like in other countries, balance sheets, income statement, or PL if you prefer, and cash flow. So if you have those 3, and then of course your tax reports, tax filing, you are good to go. Okay, next one is Japanese consumption tax. So we need to set this up inside NetSuite. So if we are using the system, and have a specific report, but it's pretty easy in the sense that the VAT in Japan is not like in Europe. It's very complex. Basically, you have 10% for almost everything, and for a few things like food, to be 8%, or newspapers. But it's very limited. Most probably, you will be at 10% for all your purchase from Japan, and all your sales to Japanese entities will be taxed at 10%. Then this is something a little bit new. You have a corporate number, and this corporate number now is public, and you will need to have it on your invoice. And your invoice is not like in Taiwan, it's not a tax invoice, it's a normal invoice that you will send by PDF or by email or even by printing it out and sending through the snail mail to your customers. But you need to have your corporate number printed on the invoice. Fixed assets, you have a few rules for fixed assets in Japan that are a little bit not common in other countries, but it's also pretty easy to manage. So fixed assets, and most probably all the companies in this room today, provided you don't have any large factories in Japan, you will have your normal 5 years or 3 years depreciation straight line. So it's not difficult. Yeah, the one that is a little bit complex though, especially in IT, B2B IT, is that when you have deferred revenues, so when you do revenue recognition, for instance, let's say if you sell a service on a yearly contract, it means that you will recognize the revenues every month. On those contracts or recognized revenues, we will need to recognize the consumption tax monthly as well. And this one is a little bit specific to Japan. So in most countries, when you issue the invoice, you get paid for the invoice. And at this point in time, you will recognize all the consumption tax. In Japan, you will need to recognize the consumption tax along with the revenues. So it will be a monthly recognition of the consumption tax. It will be different. Then there is a small withholding tax that is sometimes applied, but very rarely. It's used mostly for individual lawyers or individual payroll accountants. So most companies are not subject to this withholding tax. But sometimes you find individuals that you might need to pay and to withhold some money from their payment. But it's also pretty easy. And the last one is the invoices format also. So as I just said, you will print out on PDF and send through normal post or email the invoice format. And the invoice format only need the VAT tax code, tax rates, and your corporate number. But otherwise, the format itself is free. Vincent, you want to translate or is it?
Yes.
Easy?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
please go.
所以各位知道，设立对，设立一家公司，各位也知道，首先有2件事，第一个就是你要找会计师，对不对？再来你要找律师，然后在日本也是一样，所以为什么我们把 legal 跟 financial， 就是 legal 就是法律跟财务这个事情先提到前头。好，所以首先第一件就是会计科目，我们就说会计科目，各位知道，就财务报表用基于会计科目，它没有特别的什么限制 ，OK， 没有特别限制，所以OK， 然后第二个就是财务报表，财务报表就是3大报表。资产负债损益跟 cash flow，OK， 基本上跟台湾钱蛮类似的。好，然后再来就是日本的消费税，消费税基本上各位知道，你如果去日本的话，基本上都是10%，但是它针对某些消费活动，它会多加8%，比如说交通费，然后食物各方面，OK， 然后再来就是 corporate number 其实就是类似台湾每个公司的统一发票号码 ，OK。那固定资产基本上，我台湾的企业到日本去，一般不会去买固定资产，所以都用租赁的方式。如果有的话，日本的固定资产基本上折旧的方式，基本上不是5年就10年哦。好，然后再来是这一点，其实这个是GAAP， 就是 GAAP 或是 IFRS 的税法的要求，意思就是说你的收入如果无法马上当月认列的话，那你就要去分摊。那举个例子，比如说，如果你提供的是个服务，这个服务是为 for 一个专案，这个专案未来的5个月，那你这个 revenue 你要除以5 ，OK， 然后基本上这是个税法，然后这个税呢也是根据这5个月所做的 revenue 收入来做税的部分。 那 withholding tax 在台湾其实也常常发生，就是你如果跟国外买产品服务的话，那基本上会有20%的税哦，这跟台湾一样。然后再来当一些发票的 format，日本看样子是比较 free format，就是比较没有格式啦，就是基本上你没有讯息够，什么样的格式都可以哈、哦，当然比台湾比较轻松一点。嗯，好，please your turn。
Okay, so now we will discuss a little bit the business culture in Japan and what it means for a business. So those are cultural requirements. So you don't need to do it. It's better, and your local team will tell you that they will want it, but you can still choose. So the first one is consolidated invoices. In Japan, even if you sell several times during the month, let's say you ship products and every week you ship one product, so you should have 4 invoices. In Japan, what you will do is at the end of the month, close for this customer, consolidate all the sales or shipments into one invoice for the month. So the cycle is basically monthly, and most companies will consolidate at the end of the month, invoice you, and expect to be paid the following month end. And this is the case for 99% of businesses in Japan. Foreign businesses in Japan don't need to do it. And some of our foreign customers actually invoice on the go. As soon as they ship something or deliver a product, they will invoice. But yes, you can do both, consolidate at the end of the month or invoice as you go. Another one. So the banks in Japan are, I'm sorry to say, but pretty low tech. But they are starting to get integrated just now. So they're a little bit late in the game when you compare with other countries. However, they have developed a system called Zengin that allows to create all the payments that you need to make during 1 month, for instance. And this Zengin is a specific format, like a CSV file, if you want, that you can upload into your bank system on the internet for them to process the payments. Yes, so this is something also possible. It's also possible to do all the payments by hand, one by one, of course. Okay, there is something that is called Tegata, which is pretty similar to a physical check. It's less and less used, but still in the B2B world, some traditional companies still use Tegata. So on Tegata, you have a maturity date, at which point the bank will pay you the amount that is written on the Tegata. It's very similar to a check. Okay. Currency rates, you are not submitted to any mandatory currency rate, but for the sake of simplicity, many Japanese companies just use a monthly rate that they pick up from one bank, from their main bank mostly. But you can do whatever you want. It's also not compulsory. So payroll and attendance are also very, how to put it, they tend to be outsourced to special payroll accountants that will, for you, actually look at all the deductions, all the social security, and just give you the journal entries. And that's probably good enough for 99% of companies as well. Even only large Japanese companies have internalized their payroll. Why? Because you need a specific certification to be able to process and certify the payroll. Attendance is also pretty light in terms of rules. So each company can set up their own rules. The only thing is don't do too much overtime, unpaid overtime. Otherwise, you might come to some issues. So the normal rule is 40 hours per week. And more than 20% of overtime is definitely not good looking. So you should be careful about having your Japanese staff doing too much overtime. The expectation that the overtime is paid as well. So for many employees, they have a salary and they expect that they have 10% or 20% more because they will do overtime. It's not an obligation, and any normal company should fight back against this. Okay, next one that are starting now is e-tax. So just like in Taiwan or the FAPIAO in Taiwan and China or in Korea, Japan is slowly moving to an e-tax system. The projections is that in 2024, the e-tax will become prevalent, which means that we will have maybe in 23, so in 2 years, the first e-tax system up and running. So of course, NetSuite will be able to cater to those. Then more and more we see what we call bank feeds, which are applications that allow to automatically integrate the bank details, the bank books, all transactions from your bank into the system. And if possible, we will have an auto cache. And why auto cache means automatically create the transaction based on the bank feed. Why is it? It's because when you invoice a customer 1,000 yen, sometimes if you are not very clear on this, the customer will actually deduct the bank charges. And bank charges might be 200 yen or 400 yen or 500 yen. So in your system and you will see an invoice and a payment, but in your bank feed, in your bank book, you will see payment minus bank feed. So it's a little bit different. So to help with reconciliation, most companies expect to have an auto cache function that will basically match the bank charge, the payment with the invoice. Okay, Vincent, you want to take this on? Vincent? No, are you all good?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, let me give me some time, some minute. 所以这个 page 讲的就是说，这是个文化哦，所以这个文化当然它不是个必要的，但是它是个文化哦。然后首先第一件事就是在日本呢，他们喜欢1个月到1个月月底的时候再开一张发票，所以如果在这个月初到月底的时候，你开出对某个客户开出的，比如说7、8张的发票，在台湾当然随货付发票很正常嘛 ，OK。在日本他们习惯性说最后月底最后一天再开出一张发票来，哦，那2个方法都可以，就是让各位知道日本有这么一个文化在。好，然后他讲的银行的部分就是，他说日本的银行比较 low tech 哦，其实台湾也没有好到哪里去哦，就是你跟银行这边做交易，最重要是说我们要跟银行做一些对账单。那对账单在国外其实很多的银行我们可以直接用 API 的方式直接做连接嘛，所以你知道客户付你钱付到银行的时候，银行收到这个钱之后，你会马上在你的会计的 book 你账本里面做清账 ，OK。但是日本跟台湾一样，就是也不是每个银行都可以提供这种即时的 API 的服务，所以这是跟台湾类似了。那当然这个暂时用人工的方式，好。Takada 的意思就是开支票的意思啊，这没有特别，就是他们的 term， 我们就是台湾的开支票。 然后在日本的话，哎，我也蛮好奇，就蛮特别，就是说我们台湾一般制造都是3巡汇率嘛，哦，或者是你那个交易当天的交易，我们就取那个汇率。但是在日本，它是1个月就做一个汇率，当然这个当然是月底的时候，它有个汇差在里面。再一个就是薪资人事，在日本，除非是你是大型公司，否则都是外包，因为做薪资的一些服务的人，他需要去做认证，所以在日本，除非你规模很大，否则也都是外包。OK，好，然后出席是这样的，一样的，因为它还是一天8个小时啦，它基本上是这样。那刚刚把 P 是说，最好不要超时太多，否则你的员工会希望会拿到就是加班费，这个跟日剧不太一样，日剧是他们做的很晚，然后也不会抱怨，所以现在文化也不太一样。E-tax 就像我们台湾的电子发票一样，然后我们台湾也是帮台湾的客户做了很多电子发票的一个 solution 出来，意思就是说开发票不用再亲自印出来，透过价值中心，它就可以把你的发票用 email 电子的方式送给你客户去。好，然后下面这个也是跟银行相关，最主要就是一样嘛，就是汇款的时候，银行会扣掉手续费。然后当你的发票量很大的时候，你无法一笔一笔去对的话，然后这里我们有一个 solution，自动把手续费这个部分扣掉，而不会变负的。好，please 有请。
Yeah, so how do we make sure that we are successful in Japan? Outside IT, I also created renewable energies too in Japan, and one consulting firm in Japan a long time ago that I sold. So I can see through our customers what works, what doesn't work. And I have picked up a few points here. So the first one is that references are really the most important. So a lot of Japanese companies are risk averse in the sense that they will be reluctant to be the first one to use. So you need to bring references, so show that other people are already using it. Even if those other companies are not in Japan, or if they stopped, or if it was free for them, or whatever will work. We need to show that other people are already using it successfully. So what you will bring into Japan, it's much better if you can get someone somewhere to use it, even for free, and you can use it as a reference. So it's a social proof in the sense that the person who will work with you will be able to also say that, no, I chose this company because they're already working with such. So it's very important in Japan. It's the most important, I think. Number two is, once again, of course, you will do marketing just like in other countries. But yeah, as in Taiwan and in China, and Korea. So who you know is also very important. So you should do a lot of networking, and there are lots of networking events in Japan for Japanese, for foreigners. You can get a lot of traction if you can get people that have network, and it's especially important when you want to go public. If you can hire a local CEO, not a group CEO, maybe just a local CEO, if he's well known, this person will also bring some media with him. And with media will come a lot more market exposure. It will serve as a reference. It will make it much easier to find other employees, to find customers, and to start the flywheel. So what do I mean by flywheel? It means that the more people you know, the more people will come to you. So in Japan, you see that very often when you have a good restaurant, everyone is standing up and queuing for the restaurant. And if you see people standing in line in front of a restaurant, it means that the restaurant is a good one. So more people will come. So it becomes like a cycle. So if no one knows you, no one will trust you, and it becomes difficult. But when it starts, then you will get more and more inquiries and leads and so on. So it's very good. So the last one I would ask you to consider is to buy a local company, because in Japan, M&A is not very well developed, but a lot of Japanese companies are actually, so the CEO are a little bit aging, and they are not seeing a lot of growth. So they're actually potentially selling their own companies. So if you can find a local company, and most often the valuations are pretty low, you can just buy them. And the good points are that you will get your references, you will get your network, and you will also get some customers and all the local team for actually not that expensive price, and you will save time. So I strongly recommend people to consider buying a local company. Okay, Vincent, you want to translate?
Yes. 刚刚有几位比较晚进来，我还是稍微介绍一下。刚刚讲话那个 Baptiste 是他是法国人，在日本，然后他刚好前几天回到日本利用去，所以小孩带着，所以后面有些小朋友声音，抱歉啊。那各位就是讲个题外话，利用他在法国 Rhone Valley，OK，各位知道 Rhone Valley，Rhone Valley 有几个产区，就葡萄酒产区，各位应该很熟，比如说的 Tupapa 的 Chateau Tupapa 就是教皇新堡 ，OK， 或者是 Gamay 就是我们常常讲的一些 Gamay 的葡萄酒哦，他就在那个利用那个地方。好，来我们回归正题。好，所以啊，要到日本成功，首先第一件事就是你要有案例。好，那这案例基本上不管你是卖产品，或是卖服务，或是卖任何的软体。一定要有案例，所以这个日本很重要，他们不想当白老鼠，所以你可能第一个案子你要去拜托他免费使用，然后有人使用的经验之后，那接下来生意就打开了。这里我们讲的是VPON 他们这个台湾这个软体公司，基本上他也是按照这个方式做得很成功哈。他第一个打的是日本的观光局打完成功他就知名度就起来，他基本上就成长得很快。再来就是你要有关系啦，就是你要有 networking 要有关系，所以我之前我们有提到说，你不要自己去啊，你只要干脆在当地找一个CEO 总经理，然后呢，然后他也是被认可的，然后这样子的话会比较快一点 ，OK， 然后再来就是口碑相传的意思就是说，刚开始当然比较难，但是日本人是这样，日本只要他相信你，他觉得好用，大家口碑相传之后，基本上生意就加速了，最后一点就是说，当然这个过程太慢了啊，所以也有可以考虑是这样，是因为日本是个老年化的社会，那公司有些也是老年化，那有些日本公司的社长他下面没有人要继承他，他想退休，那这个时候他把意思是说，我们可以来考虑一下，用比较合理的价格把它买下来，这么一个动作之后，上面讲的这3个条件你都有了，Please, your turn.
Yeah, so and we are a little bit short on time, so I'll go fast. But case study, this is 17 media, now 17 live, and this is a Taiwan online business, you might know, very successful, but especially successful in Japan. From the beginning, they have had global ambitions. So Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Japan, USA, Middle East, but they were not able to perform an IPO in the US. So they actually restarted the expansion from Japan. And how to do this? And it's all public information, so I'm not disclosing anything, but how to do this is to bring in new management, a new local CEO, a well-known CEO, and now Japan became their largest market globally. It's a very large player now in Japan and then in Asia, thanks to a very successful expansion in Japan. Very good operations, very good marketing, and now very good new management. So the next step are funding rounds or IPO perhaps. So it's a typical successful case study because they were able to move out from Taiwan into other markets by leveraging their success in Japan. Make sense?
OK， 所以17 Live 自己的名称叫17直播嘛，然后各位这17直播以前的当然 reputation 对某些人而言 reputation 不是很好 ，OK 好，然后你知道他以前的老板叫马吉大哥，各位叫马吉大哥好，所以本来是要到美国 IPO， 然后当然就不成功嘛，不成功之后就公司沉寂一下，然后但是呢。他们在日本就找了一个当地日本的一个总经理，然后生意就慢慢做起来，然后也是在那个时候，我们就帮他们在日本的 business， 我们导入了所谓的 Oracle NetSuite 这一套 ERP， 帮助他们做 operation， 因为他们的日本的生意很大，然后当然生意越来越好，再加上有很好的工具嘛，所以然后。因为做得很好，这位日本的 CEO 就接任整个集团的 CEO 总经理，然后就把名字给改掉。然后当然各位可以上网去看他现在的生意也不是只有直播，他还有做一些一些不同节目的一个 streaming。OK 的创，所以他慢慢的形象也变好，然后台湾的生意慢慢起来，然后东南亚也有，日本美国也有，当然所以它是相辅相成，然后当然他们的目标还是一样要去做 IPO 了，基本上是这个分享。那因为太细节的部分我们就不能讲太多。那重点就是一样，你 operation 够大的时候，你需要一个很好的云端的系统来帮忙。那我们就是做这方面的帮忙。然后如果说其他部分，比如说找人当地的法规找我们也是可以的哦。好，but please yes, that will be our last page, right?
Yeah, this is our last page. We have a few more slides we will send to you through email, but this is basically finished. So we strongly recommend you using NetSuite because on the same system you can do multi-companies, multi-currencies, multi-countries into one single platform. So it's very powerful and yes, we do strongly recommend this tool and our services, of course. So for us, a normal Japanese entry project would be all those points. So set up a chart of account, standard financial statement, GST, so VAT, and so on and so on. So we know this very well and we can help you. And that's it for us, yes. And we of course, lastly, we offer not only Japan, but other countries. And if you want to do global rollout, we can also offer this kind of services. And that's it for our presentation today.
Okay,
so Vincent, if you want to conclude. Yeah.
OK， 所以今天时间过得很快，过了1个小时了哈。然后在最后几分钟的时间，大家有没有问题要问？请你发在那个聊天室里面去哈，给各位一点时间。好，那当然各位如果问说那什么是 Oracle NetSuite 啊？因为这么短，我们其实没有花太多时间来介绍这个产品，是因为我们主要是着重在这个日本这个市场怎么进去，那么怎么帮忙各位能够把 business 扩大一点哈。至于如果想要知道这个产品的细节的话，可以上我们公司的网站你打云冠科技。那你就可以上去看到，你就会看到很多产品。如果说他们之后各位有兴趣、有疑问随时跟我们联络，我们有电话，我们有 email， 可以跟我们随时联络。然后如果说你要看影片呢，我们公司也是放了很多影片在那个 YouTube 上面。OK 云冠科技，好吧 People usually shy. So anyway, so for last 5 minutes, I just introduce you. You currently in Lyon, right?
Yes.
So in Lyon, yeah. So I just quickly mention. Actually, Lyon is in the famous Rhone Valley. They produce many beautiful wines, like Chateau
good.
Papa. Yeah. You want to, I don't know. You want to quickly talk about a few minutes about that, and then we can close the session.
Talk about wine. What do we do? Okay. So the first one who send an email, we will send a bottle of wine. Okay. We'll send a bottle of wine. So yeah, for the first one who send an email to info@cloud1ai.com. OK。
所以好，对，这样子，所以讲那么多，就是如果各位第一个写 email 来，然后不管是什么事情写 email 来，我们就送你1瓶 Rhone Valley 的葡萄酒，这样可以吗？虽然我们不是卖酒的。Please, someone asked, why is Shearwater's service scope? What kind of service do we provide in Japan? Yeah.
Okay. In Japan, we provide so NetSuite sales, but also consulting for IT services mostly. We do some advisory on best practices to set up a company. We are not an accountant, and we are not a lawyer, so we can accompany a company for setup, but we will introduce a lawyer and a tax accountant. So we can do consulting, but we will put you in touch with other entities for specific needs.
所以Shearwater 在日本，然后 Cloud1 Innovation 在台湾我们基本上做几个服务项目。第一个项目就是我们代理销售跟顾问导入云端的 ERP、CRM 跟电子商务。那这个产品叫 Oracle NetSuite， 它是个 Oracle 旗下云端的产品。OK， 然后这个产品最主要不是讲技术面，最主要是我们帮助客户做云端数位转型，这是第一个。第二个就是在日本部分，针对台湾的企业，我们提供一些怎么样进入台湾，就把公司设立起来的一些咨询但我们不是律师事务所，我们也不是会计师事务所，但是我们是顾问管理公司，所以我们可以给你第二个 second opinion， 就是第二个意见，那里面多一个选择，好吗？对。
Okay. If no more question, I think that's it for today.
Yeah. Okay. So, but thank you.
Okay.
谢谢大家。
谢谢大家。
我今天的 session 我们一样会录起来之后把它放到 YouTube 上面哈，各位事后可以去看。OK， 谢谢你，拜拜，那个拜拜 ，Enjoy your vacation。
OK， 拜拜。
拜拜。